Hi, in today's video podcast, I wanted to talk about legislative committee staff and the important role that they play in the California legislative process. The policy and fiscal committees of the Assembly and Senate in the California legislature, called the standing committees, have committee consultants, one or multiple ones, and a secretary, they call that in the Assembly, or committee assistant in the Senate. These standing committees are where the major work of the California legislature gets done each and every day. So the role of the committee staff is critical to the main legislative function of lawmaking. The secretaries and assistants process all the bills and amendments. They log the support and opposition letters received. They record the votes. They file all the reports about their respective committee actions. The consultants prepare the analyses of all the bills and amendments, both for the committee hearing and consideration of bills on the floor. They meet with constituents, with lobbyists, with authors and their staff. While these committee staffers ostensibly work for the committee members, they also take direction from the chair and ultimately those in the assembly from the speaker's office and those in the Senate from the president pro tem's office. The committee consultants are considered experts in the subject matters that are under the jurisdiction of their committees. Their analyses that they prepare on legislation and other legislative measures are relied upon by legislators, the staff, as well as the public and lobbyists. And these analyses help those legislators cast an educated vote on legislation and on other legislative measures, including resolutions and constitutional amendments. These committee consultants also provide legislative history and intent for practitioners in the courts in these analyses, and they attempt to apply and interpret those bills that are adopted into law. In their role, the committee consultants meet with the executive branch, again with lobbyists and interested members of the public, regarding any legislation that comes before their respective committee. They answer informational requests, provide research and other documentation on other major issue areas that come before their committee. They draft bills and amendments. They may even staff their own chair's legislation. And those analyses, again, are playing a very critical role in the legislative process by educating those who read them about existing law, what the bills propose to do to existing law, and what the author, the proponents, and the opponents have to say about the proposed legislation. As I mentioned, these consultants conduct research. They assist all the committee members with their legislation that comes before that committee. And there's at least one of these consultants with each committee, but many of them have two and sometimes as many as half a dozen staffers. The staffing is naturally based upon the volume of work that the particular committee must handle each and every year. These professional staff members are critical to the legislative process in that they prepare the committee and floor analyses, and those analyses are given considerable weight by the courts in determining legislative intent. Although committee consultants generally write nonpartisan bill analyses, each has a point of view, and nonetheless, those in the minority party are allowed to write non-objective analyses to raise different points that may not be covered in the committee's publicly released analysis. Sometimes the majority party caucus might utilize consultants to assist in floor analyses or to provide additional information on legislation. So these consultants, again, work with everyone from legislative district offices to the general public. They monitor and help with policy development, and they might respond to press inquiries or other background information to be provided on the bills coming before their individual committees. They're all employees of the legislature, specifically the rules committees, and serve at the pleasure of their appointing body. These employees complete ethics courses. there's not a high level of turnover in these positions, thankfully, as opposed to some of the staff who work for individual legislators. And I think that the legislative leaders of the Assembly and Senate have long recognized that continuity in those committee consultant positions leads to expertise, and those committee consultants should remain in those positions for as long as possible. And many of them have served decades or more. That ensures that their experience and insights and expertise can remain with the committee and the legislature as an institution, so that future legislators and their staff, as well as members of the public, can rely upon them and benefit from that expertise and experience to ensure that the California lawmaking process continues with minor disruptions.